Welcome back to my channel. Let me start by pointing out once again that I'll be referring to the Mike who runs the Our Philippine Journey channel as Mike, but the other Mike who runs the now terminated Mike's Philippine Journey will instead be referred to by either that full channel name or by Mykkie or by Mickey Mouth. Hopefully that will minimize confusion. Mike put a video out some time ago I just never got around to reacting to, but after watching a couple recent videos from him as well as all the comments posted to them, I decided I should get it done. And some of this does relate to Mickey Mouth too. I've only listened to a handful of Mike's videos. My general impression is that his voice is good. That is, it isn't ranting like some channels do. His voice is generally just pleasant, like someone you could have a good conversation with. In this, he is similar to listening to Paul Old Dog New Tricks. At the same time, I saw Mike say some pretty silly things, and perhaps there is a reason why this happens, though I'd really have to watch a lot more to be sure. You see, when I did see Mike saying silly things, he was on a video with Mykkie, and both were criticizing a Filipina named Rebuti. Both Mike and Mykkie totally screwed up, missing her point or applying poor logic. I covered this in a prior video called Miscellaneous Mykkie and Mike. But my point is, maybe Mike is fine except when being influenced by Mykkie. And now we have another situation involving these two. In the comment section of a recent Mike video, some commenters told Mike that Mykkie's missing channels had been terminated for copyright by YouTube. You see, Mike had supported Mykkie's claim that he took them down himself to prove he didn't need the money while other vloggers did. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but that was Mykkie's attempted excuse. But credit to Mike for listening to the commenters who provided information on how he could go and see for himself the YouTube messages that say it was, in fact, terminated. Mike even agreed that it certainly seemed it was. That surprised me, simply because it is rare for any of Mykkie's followers to even look at the evidence, let alone admit it has any validity. However, Mike then pulled back and said it was possible Mykkie did take it down himself, but no real evidence backs that up. There have also been other statements from Mike, like I've seen from other people friendly with Mykkie, such as saying they think Mickie's really a good guy in spite of all the crappy stuff he does on his channels, or that what you see on YouTube isn't necessarily what a person is like in regular life. Okay, that's partly true. That is, a person who seems nice on YouTube may be a very bad person in reality. But the reverse isn't particularly true. That is, an actual nice person is not very likely to be evil on YouTube. Mike has acknowledged that Mykkie crosses the line on YouTube, that he even attacked someone's wife, another person's mother, and another person's very young child. Yet they still tend to give Mykkie the benefit of thinking he is a really nice person. It's almost like when a nice girl gets in a group of the cool girls in school, a group which also makes fun of other girls. They're nice to her, so even though she's seen them being mean to others for no reason, she still thinks that deep down they are nice people, and thus she'll tend to find excuses for their behavior. Anyway, what I want to do here is twofold. First, I want to react to a video of Mike's that is saying pretty much the exact same things as the Filipina Pea said in one of her videos, a video which Mykkie made many bogus attacks about. I've documented that too in a past video called Selective Hearing versus Effective Listening, episode 4 of 100. I just found it very interesting to hear Mike presenting his views, which were pretty much exactly in line with what P said, but I never heard Mykkie criticize Mike for saying the same things he attacked P for. It's much like how when Jimbo360 was agreeing with what P said, as well as what Rebuti said, Mykkie didn't trash him, even though he trashed both Filipinas. So let me start this reaction to Mike's video. After that, I'll end with giving 3 screen recordings showing 3 ways you can see links from Mykkie himself that show his channel was terminated by YouTube.
There are so many expats that are just so screwed up when it comes to the reality of life that it baffles me. It absolutely does. They are users and abusers. It has everything to do with how they treat their Filipina.
The Filipina Pea never got into viewing the expat so negatively. She took a higher road with just pointing out things you should think about if you're in a long-term relationship with one. But so far, that is the only difference. Both are correct anyway.
This is aimed at men who are moving women in with them, who are engaged in relationships and have certain needs and desires that have to be maintained at the detriment of her. The vast majority of you that are going to retire are over 50. And guess what? Your lifespan has a time clock, buddy. All of us are going after these younger women.
This is exactly the situation P was talking about too. Long-term relationships with big age gaps.
I want to be around my wife. You may be partnered, all right? I want her to be around. I don't want her to work. But is that really the right thing? Well, I think it is, all right? And when I think it is, I also think, what kind of responsibility do I have to that?
P also brought this up, that if you take her away from her job, then she will be at an even bigger disadvantage when you are gone. She'll have lost her income and savings, but also lost experience, which may have helped her get promotions. Mike is making solid points.
Now, you may be like Ace Bachelor Cool. Single and free is the way to be. Well, then this just doesn't apply to you at all. You're not moving them in with you. You're not living. You're not getting them to quit their job or anything else.
Just as P pointed out when she talked about how she wasn't talking about people just casually dating.
But what have you done for her future? What have you done that is going to make a difference for her? Some of you will sit there and say, well, you know what? I buy them whatever they want. I feed them. I clothe them. They have this. I give them, money now, here and there for their family. Well, big whipping shit. That's not going to do her a whole lot of good when you're dead, is it? Who's going to feed her? Who's going to clothe her? Well, that's not my responsibility. Well, maybe you should think it is. If you're a reasonable, mature adult, all right, don't take advantage of these. Aren't you supposed to be the mature one? Aren't you on this side of the spectrum when it comes to that age gap relationship? Don't you think you should take some of your expertise and therefore look out for her future also?
This is what P pointed out too. Consider the Filipina's future situation if you are in a long-term relationship where the Filipina is giving you the best years of her life.
What have you put aside for her? At the end of it, when it's over and you pass away or whatever, what has she got left? Don't be a deadbeat man. What are you doing for her future? Arlene has investments. She has real estate. She has property. She has cash. And she will have more by the time I expire. We planned ahead. We looked ahead. And I care enough. And I feel I'm a responsible enough adult to take care of that for the future. How many guys do you know, all right, that haven't, that don't, that just did not? They're going to leave their spouse with nothing, absolutely nothing. You need to think hard about teaching your partner on how to manage money, setting them up so that they can financially feed themselves, put a roof over their head, and at least live a decent life. You need to take care of manly business. You'll sit there, well, it's her decision. It was her decision to hook up with me. I don't owe her anything. Many of you will say that. You're supposed to be the more worldly, wise, mature, responsible person.
Compare that with what I documented Mykkie saying when P made the same arguments. Mykkie actually said it was fair because the man gave the last years of his life. And he also said a woman facing a choice of being taken by a conquering army or being willing to die was just up to her. No criticism of the people who forced such a ridiculous choice on her. Sure, Mykkie did say you should take care of your wife, but that was it. And he certainly knows that many men are just living with a woman as if they are married, almost always telling her they don't really need to be married. Mykkie takes the view that she's responsible for believing the guy. But I'm sorry, that doesn't excuse the guy when he is trying to take advantage of a woman, especially one in very poor countries who are just trying to survive.
And if there's not anything, tell them in advance, you know what, honey? I love you. I want to be around you. But by the way, I'm going to die long before you do, and I've got nothing to give. So we've got to save money while we're together. My point with all of this is what kind of a man are you? Are you looking to the future for them?
Of course, P covered this about the same way. She was clear that you should let the Filipina know how things are, so when she makes a choice, it is an informed one where she isn't being lied to by a guy who is really only interested in himself. She even talked about how if you don't have money to leave her, at least try to teach her how she can run a little business to help herself out. As I said before, I've only watched a small number of Mike's videos, so any impression I have is subject to change. And I've read various attacks on Mike, which I simply haven't even tried to confirm. Mostly because they don't matter to my focus, even if they are true. I just note that in this video, Mike is very logical, rational, and properly advocating what a good man should do for his partner. Pretty much the opposite of Mickey Mouth, who is acting like many men I see now who are really only focused on themselves, which makes them no better than the modern feminists who do the same thing. And I was impressed that Mike was at least willing to listen to people pointing out the evidence that Mickey's channel was terminated rather than a choice he made to take it down. On the other hand, I'm a bit disappointed that after a couple of videos on that subject, they had Mike showing some signs of giving way too much credibility to Mickey's claim. Also, Mike hasn't followed up on the additional evidence presented in his comment section. So this brings me to my clip showing Mickey's YouTube channel called Mike's Philippine Journey was actually terminated. I showed some of this in a prior video, but these are new ones. First, we go straight to a channel Mickey still has called Filipina Reaction Channel and scroll down to the oldest video and open it. Once there, we see that this is part 2, but he has a link to part 1, so we click that. We then see YouTube says, video unavailable. This video is no longer available because a YouTube account associated with this video has been terminated. You see, Mykkie would duplicate some videos from his Journey channel and repost them on this reaction channel. So this link would normally have taken you back to the Journey channel for part 1, but it can't because that channel was terminated. For the next example, we return to his Filipina reaction channel. I've already opened one of the videos and then expand the description box. Scrolling down, we see the text for a link to his merchandise site. So I select that text and choose the option to go to that link. It's clearly his, but we have one more step to take. Clicking on the option at the top for a men's corner, and we find another video that can't be viewed, and YouTube gives the same reason, that the channel it is from was terminated. Mykkie was simply using a video from his other channel that no longer exists. This next one is more detailed. We first go to a site called ytrank.com and choose the search option and type in his old channel name. Several matches appear, but the first one is Mickey's. So click View Channel, and we get the general description screen for his Journey channel. From there, click on the channel name, which is also a link, and we get this more detailed termination notice. This account has been terminated because it is linked to an account that received multiple third-party claims of copyright infringement. This tells us that it was one of Mike's other channels that got the copyright strikes, but since his Journey channel is linked to it, They both got terminated. For the record, Mykkie claimed that he took both channels down himself and that YouTube didn't terminate anything. Next, I'm highlighting the link address in the address bar so you can compare it to other things I'll be showing. Then I go back to the general information page and select an option to copy the link I previously clipped. This is unnecessary, but it's just a double confirmation I'm making. I open a new tab, paste the link in, and go to it. As you can see, I get the same results and the address is the same. I close that tab to get back to the general information page, and this is where it gets really interesting. You see, YT Rank's information includes whatever a channel has put in their About section. As you can see, there's a link there which looks exactly like the link I just showed you. The important point is that this was written by Mykkie since it is from his About section. I made sure by checking some other channels, and for every one of them, it simply duplicated what the channel owner had written themselves. So this absolutely confirms that Mike's Philippine Journey is the channel referred to, and YouTube says it was terminated. As for Mike holding back, at least somewhat, about Mykkie's termination in spite of the evidence, the question is, why? I think it fits what I said earlier in this video. Friends don't like to think their friends aren't nice people, so they look for any excuse they can treat as a possibility, no matter how weak it is. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.